welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have writer, producer, director, actor, special effects. You do everything. Adam Freeman from Tennessee, filmmaker. Adam, tell us about yourself.
Well, I got started as an actor, and it's kind of interesting how I got into that. One of my favorite shows is called Claws, TNT's Claws with Niecy Nash. It had an actress on there named Del Dickey, and she actually came to Tennessee. Her brother lived here, and she kind of got me into acting. I was a barista working at Starbucks, and I knew who she was, and she came in all the time, and she kind of led me to where I needed to go. And so I got professional acting classes by a Hollywood acting coach. And then from there, I started just kind of writing out my own scripts. And then I started doing line producing on films. And then I just kind of put everything together and started line producing things. And that's where I'm at today. I started my very first movie was Deadly Dealings, which I did a couple of years ago, and it just came out this past year. And it is available on Blu-ray. It'll be available on streaming and DVD later this year. So, yeah.
You sent me a screener on that. That is a I don't want to take this. Don't take it. This is not meant to be bad. It is as I was talking to you, I was like, it's batshit crazy in a good way.
It's very garish on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The a lot of blood and a lot of glitter.
Yeah. The kind of my theme that I kind of want to go for on any film that I do is kind of like Lisa Frank meets horror, but kind of on acid. So,
well, the movie, I don't want to give nothing away for this movie. It does have a very dreamy feel. It doesn't feel real, and I don't know if it was your choice. Everything has that slight haze, that dreaminess to it, and it's just it's one of the ones where I sat down the other day and I sat down and watched it, and like I had to get up to go do stuff, and I couldn't get up to go do stuff because I was like I just kept watching. I couldn't even pause it. I was just okay. I'm still watching. And that
the purpose of the dreamy feel is to get people to not stop watching it.
Yeah, and I do have to ask you one thing because it's even listed in the trivia. The wigs was the was the wigs a conscious thing to put in there, or was it just something you just added, or how'd that come about?
It was purposely meant to look like a wig, but in the movie it's supposed to be real. But it's kind of like an artistic choice because there are movies that I love from the 70s, like I love a lot of the Edwige Fenech films, and a lot of the actors in those films were wigs, but it was never the lead actor. But also, I'm really a huge fan of Anna Biller, who designed and created a masterpiece called The Love Witch. I don't know if you're familiar with that title.
Yeah.
But it's a film that was made in like 2017, and they used a lot of wigs, and she handcrafted the costumes, which I did as well on some of them, not all of them. But also I did a lot of built sets, tried to design everything and get handmade items for the film to have that very earthy kind of organic feel to it. So it was done on purpose.
Okay. Yeah, it puts that like uneasy dreaminess to everything because you notice the wigs, you see everybody wearing wig, but none of it is acknowledged. It's all just in there.
There's like two people who didn't wear a wig in that film. So
Well, it even took me a minute because I'm sitting there watching it and I'm watching it. I'm like, why does Milo look familiar? And then I'm like, oh, duh, it's the director. It's
I actually won an award for that role, and I never dreamed that it would happen. I won Best Scream King in the Sarah of Horror Film Festival, which I now have the title, so I'm pretty happy with it. So I was really nervous about the film because I knew like not a lot of people would get that what I was going for, and they would just think like, "What is this?" And it's kind of like if you have that background in horror, you can see where I pulled different things from older films or you know uh I know a lot of people want to say like the giallo lighting
Mhm.
throughout. It's actually the giallo lighting is actually not I was not inspired by for this film. I actually took that straight from a dream that I had where everything was just really those colors. And I
Mhm.
actually put the dream in writing. I woke up from it and I wrote it at 3 o'clock. And I'm sure you remember where Jess is reading the dream
Mhm.
journal. That was actually the dream that I saw all that lighting from.
Okay.
So that's kind of like where I uh, designed everything around that writing, and I thought it was important to put that also in the film.
Cool. Now, I have to ask, did the which came first? Did the concept with the dreaminess of the movie, or did you deal with the script, then kind of add that accordingly?
Well, originally, Deadly Dealings was not supposed to be Deadly Dealings. It was actually, and I can say this now since I now have the rights to it. It was supposed to be the remake of Scream Dream, and I now have the rights.
Of your next
Did,
movie.
yeah, I did get like a permission to write it, and it was kind of like a three to 4 year process to get Scream Dream going. And at the time, the director of Scream Dream was just like kind of changing his mind that he didn't want to do it, and I was like, that's okay. I have a lot of aesthetics and a lot of stuff already planned out, so what I'll do is I will put something personal together. I'll switch up the poster, which we had like two or three posters that um, look very similar to the one that's like out right now, but it was completely alternate. We probably drove the artist crazy, but we altered it, and we still used the scene from the poster and like changed the chainsaws around. So that's kind of like why people have been asking, like, why does it look like Scream Dream? And like, it's not, but it was going to be. So but after that, I already had several scripts written. I can bust out a script so fast. And not saying that to like, I just, when I start writing, I'll write for 10 hours a day and I'll keep going. Um, so I, um, I actually like wrote, I think last year or was it last year or this year? About 4 or 5 scripts, like within about 3 months.
Ooh,
And I
geez.
was like, I just need to like take a break because I'm getting too much on my plate that I want to do. So I'm kind of, so yes, the script came first, but I already had the aesthetics and everything done before the script. So then I just kind of tweaked everything and did a personal project.
Okay. Uh, I have to ask. You're able to put out that many scripts in a very short amount of time. Now, if you're are you one of the people like your brain never shuts off?
Yes, I don't ever take a break. Like right now, um, what I'm doing is for Screen Dream, just for as an example, we need 13 grand more for special effects. Everything else is fully funded and everything else is paid for. So 13 grand. So I literally work constantly, but I've been doing this nonstop for about, I guess, 7 years now. I've been in this, but I work from like 11:30 at night till 6:30 p.m. the next night. almost every day I have 1 day off, 1 day to sleep a week, and that's it. So I just constantly work, constantly gain budget, constantly trying to find new ways to like sell product, make money for Scream Dream. But that's just kind of how I work. Like I just am a really hard worker. I never shut my brain off.
It's definitely one of those hard to do things. I'm one of the people. My brain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It caused me so I don't sleep worth a damn anymore. Because I'm always thinking. Um, and I'm not gonna lie. I just missed the one thing that I was going. Well, I wanted on your Scream Dreams Indiegogo, which was to be on the cover of a cassette. The
Oh,
the 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 music, the band they and like I was like, ah, sweet. And I transferred some money over so I could put it in my PayPal so I could pay. And by the time I went back, it was sold. I'm like, oh, damn it.
no, no. If anything is sold out, just reach out to me and I will take care of that. I
All
can
right.
always do more. Yeah.
Because the worst part about it is that I think I don't have it anymore, but I joke around that the first concert I went to, I was the 80s hair guy. So
Uh-huh.
I had my hair, well, I didn't have it all poofed up, but I had long hair at the time, really long hair. I had on my leather coat, leather pants, bullet belt. Uh,
Amazing.
I- but that tells you how old I am. I am that was my senior year in high school in 1992. So
I'm going to show you something exclusive since
all
you're
right.
talking about it. Um, I don't really show anybody except maybe I think I may have this room as a mess because this is where I keep all the film stuff. But oh, let's see. Just to kind of like tell you a little bit about costuming because you're going into that. Um, Here is my Scream Dream costume.
Nice.
Without um, harness underneath. Yeah, we're going very edgy for this. Very, very, very edgy.
Well, you
So
got
that's
to. And I
that.
have to I know it says on the IMDb trivia, and now you're wearing your Powerpuff Girls shirt that the demon in Deadly Dealings was essentially a tribute to him.
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. I love Powerpuff Girls. I think there's a lot of great stories. Like there's a harness for it.
Nice.
Um, but the Powerpuff Girls, I think back in the day, I just loved watching them so much, and I loved being able to uh kind of have like that cartoon that was kind of fresh, different, and unique, and it really was had a lot of villains.
Oh yeah.
So for me personally, I thought that it was just a great cartoon, and I take a lot from it as well. There's a lot of different types of episodes like where they like rhyme
There you
uh
go.
so through which I actually tried to do during a script that I wrote one time, and everybody's like, "No, just stop it, please, please, we can't take this." And I was like, "Okay." So no more rhyming because I made an entire script where we just rhymed almost the whole time. So
Hey, I grew up with one of my favorite comic book character was the Demon from DC Comics, and everything he talked was in rhyme.
oh
And
wow.
I grew up on that. But no, I was doing this. I got pages from the original Powerpuff Girl comic book.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's
That's
bed crime stories. Got a couple
amazing.
other got a couple other floating around here.
But I
Although
also have Rowdy Rough Boys on here too. So
the Rowdy Rough Boys.
love the Rowdy Rough Boys.
I love Mojo Jojo. That's
Yes, yes. I had a cat named Mojo.
I did too.
Oh, nice. See,
Now
everybody.
I have a dog named Courage who's around here somewhere. And as he hears me call his name, he comes running.
We need a live action of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
No,
We just
they need a live action, but the dog is completely animated.
Yes,
Just
I'm fine with that.
everything is live action, but a cartoon dog running around. Oh man, I still haven't watched the Scooby Doo one though yet. The Scooby Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog.
I haven't seen that. I have not seen that.
Um, so you talk about, your Giallo and stuff like. Now, do you ever like sit down to write a script, going, okay, this is going to be my Italian movie. This is going to be my slasher movie. This is going to be an art piece or anything like that?
There is a script that I wrote called Wolf Lust that I'm in love with. I absolutely love the film. She was it. Let's see, what's it called? There's two different titles. It's The Legend of Female Werewolf. I think it's called Female Werewolf is on the DVD or Blu-ray cover, and it has Anna, uh, what's her name? Sorokin, I believe, is her name, and she does a fantastic job. It's really psychological, but it's a best werewolf movie, and I did write a script based on that movie. It was
That's
like from the 70s,
Yeah,
female
yeah.
werewolf.
I've got it. It's Legend of the Werewolf Woman. Well, it's got like five different titles. It just
Yeah,
depends on which version you get. I have it on two different DVDs and it's two different names. So
you like it though?
yeah, I love it. It's very much a product of the 70s, and it is a uh early like female empowerment movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's one of the early ones of the because we didn't really have any women werewolves at that point in time. It was always guys.
Yeah,
So yeah, I dig that movie.
that movie inspired me. I considered it a giallo, but just like more like a supernatural giallo. Lizard in a Woman's Skin, which I have a poster over there. Another one of my favorite giallos. I love What Have You Done to Solange, with Camille Keaton. I have that poster. Madeline Anatomia d'un Incubo, which is Madeline Study of a Nightmare. I have the original 70s poster that's holographic, signed with the older film version that was lost and the new cut of the film. But those are movies that really inspire me because they have like a craftsmanship to them, you know. So people who, especially in indie cinema, who put craft into their film, um, to me that's what kind of sparks them from being different because a lot of times people tend to, they get their actors on set, they're wearing whatever they're wearing for the day, they don't have, there's no process for costuming.
Hmm.
And what I like to do is I like to make sure, we go over hair, we go over makeup, we go over jewelry, we go over wardrobe. Just now, like on Scream Dream, when Indiegogo sent the first half of the budget over, I bought everybody's wardrobe. So I thought that was really important. And I've got like all lace front wigs. So the difference between these wigs that's going to be in this film prior to the last film is they're ultra realistic.
Okay.
So I don't really think people are going to, I mean, they might be able to tell, but it's really real looking. So that's a good thing. So
You
I just feel like it's important to do the little things in film, and I think Giallos really did that more so than American horror or American slasher films did.
Yeah, I we all
Amazing.
right. So I gotta ask. We're gonna start getting into the hard hitting questions that I ask every filmmaker that I talk to. All
Hmm.
right. Money is no object, and time is no object. You can bring somebody back from the past or whatever. Who would you bring to be in your movie?
Ooh, that's easy. Anna Nicole Smith.
Anna Nicole Smith.
Yeah.
Damn, that you had that one in the chamber ready to go. All
Oh
right.
yeah. I love her. She's a role model for me. I've loved her since I was a kid. She was the first celebrity that passed away in my life that I literally just bawled my eyes out. I remember exactly where I was at. I was in a hot tub and I was outside just like looking at the stars, and here comes my mom and she's like, Adam, and Nicole Smith died, and I just lost it. But I have her autograph in here. I never got to meet her. I just bought it off this thing at a convention, and all of her movies. Love the woman. I think that she was brilliant. And honestly, I don't think people give her the credit that she has, because a lot of times, like people who have like, and especially like my personality, that's just kind of like wacky and funny and goofy, like that's me. When I'm not working, people tend to like take you for stupid, or especially like, since I'm blind, like, oh, you're blind, and I feel like, you know, it's kind of like cliche that people say that, and it just is not, it doesn't sit really well. So like, I think, that I like to say that I think that she was a lot smarter than what she was.
Well, she had to be. I mean, she knew how to market herself.
Mm-hmm.
She, was a guest model. She went
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I hate to say this, she figured out how to play the game. And
Oh yeah.
sometimes that's sometimes I hate to say you got to play dumb to play the game. So
Yeah. Very
and
true. Very
and
true.
as I've told people, I was like, it's like one of the problems is with being smart is so many people expect more out of you than you're willing to give, because people expect you to like, well, oh, you're. I'm like, sometimes you got to play dumb because you don't want to do something. And
Um, did you notice in Deadly Dealings the homage to Anna Nicole?
I miss that.
That's all of Jessa Flex's character.
I
Makeup
kind of
phenomenal.
wondered about that makes sense with the accent and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah. She had to study Anna Nicole like in interviews and Dolly Parton in interviews to really pull out the accent for me and like Steve, and we're from Tennessee, so we already had that accent, but she's from Indiana, so that was, you know, kind of a challenge I feel like for her, but I think she had a lot of fun with it.
yeah, um, yeah. Like I said, with Anna Nicole and that's fun that you put that little tribute in there to the
Yeah.
character. Um, okay, now I gotta ask. Money's no object. Music. What kind of
Hmm.
what music are you putting in there?
I'm really different on music. I like a lot of synth pop. Um, and I do like a lot of synthwave music. I do like some pop, not very much, but if I had to put any music in there, I would do Duffy. She's my favorite album was Rock Fairy album. I listened for years and years and years. I listened to that album every morning with my coffee.
Yeah, I got on a big synthwave kick recently. Well, recently, about 2 years ago, and I've been buying vinyl constantly. So I have like a really nice synthwave collection going.
You should get the Rock Fairy album and listen to that whole album. It's absolutely like some of the most emotional yet brilliant music. But what happened to Duffy was just so tragic. A lot of people, I don't think, realize what happened to her. She was abducted in her own house for like, I think, 4 weeks or something, and was tortured and raped, um and that's why she left the music scene. But her house did burn down too. So the poor woman, like that poor woman, I feel so sorry for her. But yet, I just want to say that she has one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard.
Wow, that's great. I did not know that.
Yeah, but you should listen to Rock Fairy. Amazing album.
I'll have to look that up. All right. Um, so with upcoming projects, you're working on Scream Dreams, and
Mhm,
that's the first time I've been able to get that out without screwing that up for some reason. That is a
mhm.
tongue twister for me, and I cannot figure out why.
Scream Dream.
I kept trying to when I was interviewing Angel, I kept trying to say and it would not come out. I kept going dreams, scream scream dream, and I'd have to take a pause, and all of a sudden it stopped with scream dream. There, and I don't know why. It's for some reason my brain does not want to put those two together and make it come out properly.
I understand.
Yeah,
It's a tongue twister.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I got to ask, when you cast your movies, do you have
Mhm.
people in mind when you put the cast together, or do you go out looking for certain people that just kind of fit those roles?
What I do is where I've worked a lot on other film. When I work with someone, I like to look at their how professional they are.
Hmm.
Um, so like people don't know it, but if you work with me on a project, the entire time I'm thinking, would I cast this person? Would I cast this person? Um, is this someone who can do a good job? Are they being professional? Are they drinking on set? Or are they being sober? Because that happens a lot on other sets. Like I don't like when people drink on sets. I think it's really unprofessional. I am looking at the way that they deliver lines, how they look on camera. I'll look at their following as well, see if they're really popular, if they're in demand. Um, but then also I have actors that I think are brilliant that nobody's casting because they're not really putting themselves out. So it's like, even though they don't put themselves out, that's special for me because I can put them in my film and they'll be a standout, you know? Um, and that's kind of, I think that's where, Steve McGill really comes in. Like, I think he's a really good actor. He was in the film Reunion from Hell, and he did a really, really good job. And people were coming up to him after the premiere of that, and they were just saying, "Oh, like I loved you and everything," but he doesn't like really put himself out there to like go and be cast or anything. So it's like I constantly want to use him because I think he has the talent. When it comes to Ronnie Jonah, I've worked with her. It was really weird. Like I was in like 4 movies with her before I ever met her. So when uh when I got on set with her, like she has her own method of how she does things, and she's really professional, and she's 100%. I look for people who are 100%, who will go out and promote the film. And the reason I say, like, I know they're actors, not promoters, but this is an indie scene, and they have followings. So I tend to look for people who are comfortable with like letting us tag them, or comfortable like making like a post a day, a post every couple of days, that way. And that's a really big thing right now, like in the indie scene, because like people argue that they shouldn't be doing that, but at the same time, like, if you're in a film and you're excited about it and you don't mind to promote, then I'll ask you to,
Yeah.
and I think that I look for all those qualities in my cast.
Yeah. Well, you got to be a self promoter. It's
Yeah,
it's because if not, people, you got to get your name out there. You got to make sure people know who you are and stuff like that. And that's how
mhm,
you continue to get roles and stuff. And I mean, if you're just going to sit back and be quiet about it, no one's going to even know that you're still available to even be hired. So like,
exactly.
yeah, um, it's I've known people that have been in movies. I have friends that are actors and stuff in the indie scene, and some of them are constantly, they're working, 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 and then you got ones that are like, oh, I took a break, and then you're like, okay, where's your latest movie? And they're like, oh, getting hard to get cast again. I'm like, you took that time off and you let people, you weren't out there pushing yourself and keeping yourself out there, come back to bite you in the ass later on. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think it's also like it's really important to also kind of like where I've been a part of, I think, well, there's some that's not on IMDb because they just haven't put them up yet,
Mhm.
which those are like the extreme films that I've done, from like the extreme underground. The but I think it's good to kind of like pace yourself. You don't want too much at one time, um, because you'll be overexposed and everybody will be kind of like tired of seeing the same, person over. And that's not saying that's a bad thing, but great that you're getting work, but we don't want the audience to get tired of you.
Well, I find that with a lot of actors, well, a lot of directors, actors. The director
Hmm.
finds a group of actors that he loves working with, and he
Hmm.
keeps casting them over and over and over and again. And those movies all have the exact same people in
Yeah.
slightly different, in different roles. And I think sometimes that'll hurt them. But I mean, yeah, you work with certain people, they got a good rapport, but then you go to watch a movie and it's like, oh, it's the same people again. And then you go to
Yeah,
watch their next movie and it's like, oh, it's the same people again. And it
you're
can be
kind
a
of turned
little,
into Ryan Murphy,
yeah.
which I love Ryan Murphy. That's not a bad thing, but it's kind of like you're doing your own series with the same actors, is what it
Mhm.
seems to be. Yeah.
Yeah. See, now I would love to do something like that myself and cast
Mhm.
people, so it's a reoccurring thing, but it's completely different. But that's the whole premise of the whole idea, like your American Horror Story stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when you're doing completely different projects, but you still got the exact same actors in, say you're doing a Western, then you're doing a horror, and you have the
Yeah.
exact same people, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Or you're like, well, that, or you see, I hate to say this, you see a certain actor or actress like, yep, they're getting naked. That girl's gonna die. Because you can tell because it's their lot in
I
life.
will, I will say this. I did put some of my cast from Deadly Dealings into Scream Dream because I was comfortable because the new Scream Dream film is going to have a lot of adult content in it. And I wanted to be with people that I was comfortable with, that were comfortable with me. So that's why I did cast some people from um, Deadly Dealings into Scream Dream,
Hmm.
was because you never know. I've seen it happen so many times to filmmakers. You hire a professional actress and then bam, like there's drama. Like it happens. Um, and I've seen it where I'm not going to say the name of the project, but I was a part of a project a while back, and a girl got off the plane. She hadn't even read the script, and it was a rape and revenge film, and she had a problem with the rape portion of it, which that was her character. That's what she signed up for. And they thought, she had read the script because she had said that she did. But then she got back on the plane and went back home once she got off of it. And it totally ruined the shoot. But they did make do. They did get someone else that was there to go ahead and take that role. But they were unprepared, because so that is why I did cast some of the same people that I've worked with in Screen Dream the way
Well,
that I did.
see, that's not a problem if you bring some of the cast over and stuff. It's just when it's
Same.
boom, 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 over and over and over again. Um, but that's what I see. I know the indie scene is, sometimes you work with who you can get at the time when you're ready to shoot, and if you know them and you know that they can always, knock it out of the ballpark with whatever they're handed, then yeah, you probably go with that. But it still kind of gets distracting after a while. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny you're talking about being. I did an interview with an actress and director, and we were both in the same movie, and neither one of us met. We've still never met. We've only done the show together. I was like, "Oh, we're in a movie together." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
There's a lot of people like that for me. Like when I've done, I think like when I did Savage, I only was with one other person, so I didn't meet any of the other cast. And which it just came out, Savage Vengeance, the remake. Um, it had like Tamara Glenn, Ronnie Jonah, Cody Alexander, all these other people. And at the time, I had never met them. And then I eventually met pretty much almost the cast through different films. So
Yeah,
we
and
met
it's
on other projects.
and technically we've worked with the same director, uh,
Oh, who was it?
Henrik.
Okay, for the found footage, the
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
Okay.
I was an extra in Bulldog for Christmas, and I helped him do some other stuff that night. So I was like a grip for the night. And the worst part about it is I'm supposed to show up, and I was supposed to be at a holiday party, and I took off and left my jacket and my shirt at the house, and I drove 30 minutes away. And I get
Uh-huh.
there, and I get in my car, and I'm like, I was like, so I'm supposed to be at an office party, and I'm legitimately just this dude in the background wearing a Godzilla t-shirt. So
Yeah. but that's even more, that's better.
Yeah. And it's one of them ones where people want to think that the indie scene it's huge, but it's relatively small when you think about it, because a lot of people are connected to this guy, or this girl to this girl, and it's not as big as I thought it was, but it is still big. That's a weird way to
I
put it.
mean, even here in Knoxville, there's I run into people who are into the indie scene. I mean, it's just really weird, and I'll like maybe go to like a con here and there or something, and I'm just like running into people. I'm like, oh hey, you know. So it is small, but it's big at the same time. It's
Hmm.
it's it's weird. You kind of got your stars that you meet, like that you just see out, like at a convention or something. They're just there as a, not even as a guest, or just there to be there, and you're just like, oh hey, like you're in that film, like you did a terrific job.
Yeah. Um, it's weird because for the first time ever, I was invited as at a con last year as a guest, and
Oh well.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I have no merchandise. I have nothing. All I did was set up my stuff, show my shows, and did interviews while I was there. But and then I
I
had
got
one.
invited to a con like that where had nothing.
I had one person who come up who knew me from my shows. He's looking the video because I was running one of my shows on the computer setting on the table. And he looks at me and he looks back down at the TV, looks up at me, looks down at the TV, and he goes, "You're Captain Cartoon." I went, "Yeah, yeah, I am." I was like, "Yeah, I host a Saturday morning cartoon show, and that's my stage name is Captain Cartoon." And some dude in Virginia knew who I was. So
Amazing.
now,
Amazing.
I have to ask, um, with the rise of Tubi and Plex
Hmm.
and these channels that are picking up a lot of the indie movies and the low budget movies, is that a goal to go for now, or is it to get put on there, or is it still
I
to?
think, yeah, it's definitely a goal. It's really hard to get on there. Distribution is a completely different ball game than filmmaking, and I spent several months before I just decided to do what I was going to do with Deadly Dealings. And I kept my Blu-ray rights. So I put out the Blu-ray myself, so I can make profit off of it. But I just wanted to go ahead and get the film out. So I know I probably won't make profit from distribution because a lot of distribution companies don't pay the director or producers or anything like that. They have really, really crazy contracts. You have to read the fine print and you break it down. It's like, okay, like we can sell it to the third party distribution company. We can change the name of it. We can put it out in a different country. We have the right to pay you, not to pay you. We have the right to show you the numbers, not show the numbers. So distribution is really, really tricky. I was not expecting to get really good distribution on my first film. But I did go with a company that does get their stuff out, does put it on streaming. They don't promote every title they have, but it'll at least be out there available to buy if someone's not in contact with me.
Yeah. Really? No. That's the wife's dog, the loud mutt. Um, no, I got to talk to Don Farmer a couple weeks ago. We had a discussion about movies. Now, did you have any say really in putting your DVD together? Really?
Um, for
Your
for
like
Deadly
your
Dealings,
answers.
not on the DVD, because that'll be up to the distributor. They're going to make a new artwork for it, which we talked about, and I kind of had a set thing that I wanted to do um, for them to kind of go off of. There we go.
Now, I gotta ask though, did you make the jacket or did you buy the jacket?
I bought the jacket. It was $350.
Dude,
And then I bought spiked out holographic shoes to match it. That was like $100. The wig that I got was another 300. but I'll show it to you if you want to see it.
Yeah, let's say it.
Okay. So we're going for very garish and very nightmarish here. So let's see. I think this is it right here. Yeah. Um, I actually am, and we'll go into this. I had a drag queen make this. So let's see if I can. Here we go.
Oh, it's blurry there.
Let's see if I can take off the.
Filter. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, actually, I'll just do it this way. Well,
Yeah.
it's gonna be better.
Okay. Well, if you're gonna have anybody make you a wig, a drag
Mhm.
queen would be the best person to make you a wig.
Oh yeah, this is massive. It's 80s hair all the way down, but that's like everybody. We've got a 40-inch long length crimped wig that's lace front. Angel's gonna have fun with this. That's all I'm saying.
That's that's longer than she is tall.
Oh, I know. We'll probably have to cut it and put it up. And then we've got like the other stuff. Like this is like another one. This is like the style that it looks like, but it's just all blonde. Then we got another one that's just all brown. And then I've got like Jess's jacket, very holographic. We're going for holographic throughout all this. I don't know if you can see it because I got the filter on,
Yeah.
but my whole room that there's no way to even get in here. There's just so much stuff for Scream Dream and Deadly Dealings in here as well. So it's definitely been trying to get used to not having a room that you can walk into with your stuff.
Yeah. That that's come along pretty good.
But
But
yeah.
before I we'll get back to the distribution there and the DVDs. When I was talking to Don, I didn't know, like when he was telling me that he had to have because I he had or Shark Exorcist. I said, why wasn't it the Sharksorcist? Because that just seems like it would fit better. It goes because it was too many letters at the top of the DVD. He didn't want that. He wanted this. And I'm like, I managed a video store for years, and I never even thought about the way the font or the picture sets on the DVD case until he told me that, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I? That's
It's actually a nightmare to get everything fit right.
oh yeah,
It really is. I spent hours trying to figure out Deadly Dealings. But I finally figured out how to do it and make it look good. So,
and the worst part about it is like I said, I've been in the business or even in comic books. I've talked to people who set up the pages and stuff like that, and I'm like, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, it should have been like the first thing. I've been like, oh yeah, it's all about marketing and putting your picture on there. And I do gotta say this. Thank you for putting artwork on the cover and actual artwork and not just photoshopping uh photos as the poster. Because
oh yeah.
I love art posters.
um, we had a huge time with the poster for Deadly Dealings. We drove the artist crazy. I know we did. But for Scream Dream, we went with a different artist who does like a different method. And I think that the Scream Dream poster is just it's everything that I wanted it to be plus more. I was literally shooketh whenever I got that email back because I just told him I was like, here's some pictures of Jessa. I kind of want her on the bed sitting like this way. I wanted a chainsaw coming to the bed, kind of like, where it's at. He's like, say no more. I got it. And I was like, okay. So he came up with that poster, and I think it's a damn good poster.
Yeah, like I said, and I I am a huge proponent for bringing back original artwork for posters, for movie posters. Um, I have no
Yeah.
idea what's blinking behind me.
I
Oh,
have, oh, you're fine. I have an alternate poster that people have seen, but they don't know it's going to be a poster yet. It's the one. It's I don't know if you saw any of our AI art that we did for concept, but it was just so good that I had to use it. It's a live girl. She's like holding a guitar, kind of like this,
Hmm.
and she's just really sparkly, holographic, and she has like the '80s hair and like crazy makeup. So I was like, we're gonna totally use that for the VHS when it comes out.
That'd be cool. Get the VHS. Get the. I love that. Um, so I gotta ask, are you gonna have available full size movie posters?
For Scream Dream,
Hmm.
yes, but they'll come later. For Deadly Dealings, probably not. I can have them made for people who want one. But they're just really, really expensive. That's the only thing. Like for five of them, I think I paid $150. But you can go to like cheaper places, but you're still looking at about the same, close to the same price, just because there's a lot of ink. It's
Hmm.
it's a huge poster, but I will make that available to people for Scream Dream eventually.
Nice. They gonna be signed?
We can make it happen. We can make it happen.
Yeah.
Um, that poster though, I think it deserves that kind of treatment just because it screams 80s.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for. And we're using a lot of pink throughout the film, like pink lighting and the locations that we got. Oh my God. Um, wow, that's a story in itself. It's we got there was this bed and breakfast up in Indiana that Jessa knew the people and had done boudoir photos and stuff there for um, our social media accounts. And she knew the people really well. They were looking for people to shoot in the film, or not shoot in the film, shoot films there
Hmm.
at the location. And we got a deal on it. And I'm not going to say how much or anything, but we got two houses. They're old Victorian, elaborately decorated houses right in front of each other. So we're all going to live in one house, shoot in the other, and then switch it when we're ready to go to the next house. And it is absolutely stunning. So I'm really excited about that.
So yeah, Derek told me that when you shot Deadly Dealings, it was in a bed and breakfast too. Now,
It was, yes.
do you go in and tell them that you're going to be shooting a movie,
For that
or
one, I didn't, but I never want to do that again. I mean, sometimes you have to take
or
chances when you're in indie filmmaking, and I've been on a lot of sets where nobody knows that they're filming, you just do it. But we altered those sets so much, like you would never really be able to tell unless it was like a certain room or furniture. Like we switched like lighting, lights. I put so many um props in there that you really wouldn't be able to tell. But a lot of times like you have to have insurance and things like that that people want you to have, which is not bad. That's important, but we couldn't afford it. We'd already spent like $40,000, and that was just on buying props, aesthetics, lights, paying everyone, and we just ran out of budget to be able to do that. So we just winged it.
I gotta ask, so was the glitter budget had to be huge, right?
The glitter was actually I just went to Walmart and got it. But I really liked I really liked like the shimmery holographic stuff in film. And I was like, well, let's just, let's add it in there. And it kind of represented something to me on a different level. So I was like, let's go for it. And we actually cut out, I believe it was like 40 minutes of Deadly Dealings. So there was a lot more movie, but we cut it out just because we were like, runtime, we wanted to be quick and easy, So when I wanted to keep it at the 70-minute mark and I didn't want to lose the viewer's interest, and there was a lot more emotional material in there. Um, so we cut that out.
Now is that available on the Blu-ray or
No,
deleted
I'm
scenes?
not going to release that. I don't want people to see that. There would probably be like a director's cut maybe one day, but probably not as of right now, just due to budget.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you? Do you come up with the budget first, or do you come up with the script first?
I come up with the script first, but when I'm writing the script, I try to make it, I think of budget in mind while I'm writing. So I try to use like less locations, try to have it like one or two, three, maybe four, locations, because that's just so hard to come up with. And location scouting can be a nightmare, which I have a absolute horror story. I would definitely not tell the name of this person that it happened to, but it was quite funny and humorous. But we being able to find locations is absolutely a nightmare, especially here in Tennessee, because you don't have a lot of films being made here. You have a lot of TV shows, a lot of shows film around here, especially like what is it called, Snapped, Killer Couples, and things like
Hmm.
that film around here. But they have really big, really big budgets to be able to pay for that. And I actually talked to somebody who worked on those shows. It was a friend of mine who actually worked on like all of them. And he said that there was a Facebook group and they use Facebook for it, but everybody comes to them to get their home in the film. So like they have this list of people with and pictures galore of just all these homes and locations that they are able to choose from. We don't have that here. So I wasn't supposed to tell that. It was supposed to be kind of like a secret, but I haven't talked to that person in like a few years, so it don't matter.
Well, the as I tell everybody, I was like all my filmmaker friends up here in Ohio. I'm like, well, if you ever need a comic book slash video game store, you can shoot at my shop. It's like, but
That would that would be epic to put that in one. Just because I like the like especially like when I watch Donald Farmer films, and see like a throwback. We don't have like a lot of comic book stores around here,
mhm,
but back in the day, you did have a lot
mhm.
of comic book stores or like movie rental stores, and it's kind of like a time capsule, like looking back into it like years down the road. So I always think it's really cool to put that stuff in film.
Uh, it's funny because I wrote a script, I don't know, God, like 10 years ago, and it took place in the 80s. And
Mhm.
a couple of my filmmaker friends would look at me because, man, don't do that. They're like, you're going to have so much problem finding stuff that, to make it look like the 80s. I'm like, why? It's like, I just go in my house. I was like, I can literally go and put a TV with a VCR, VHS tapes, vinyl, CDs, cassette tapes. I was like, I can make this room look like the 80s threw up in here. And
Yes, and that's a good thing.
yeah.
With us, because Scream Dream is taking place in the 80s, I wanted something old and Victorian because that was before the 80s,
Hmm.
so it would still hold up, and then just get the wardrobe and the hair and the makeup and kind of like bring the look of Jim and the Holograms to life. So that's kind of like what we're going for, and having them in that setting, I think it would really feel, 80s. So
So, Gem and Holograms, love that cartoon. One of my favorites.
yeah, me too.
Um, Literally the best villain ever because he's just a dude and he's a record company guy and he's the
Yeah,
worst villain of every cartoon villain. Like
the Misfits were just uh
I have some of my comic book artist friends have done commissions for me and my wife because my wife loves Gem and Holograms. So I have original artwork for Gem and Pizzazz. And
oh,
one year for our anniversary, I got my wife. She has a Gem, the original Gem doll, and the original Pizzazz doll. So
that's amazing. Well, Jim and the Holograms, I feel like it reminded me of Sailor Moon, the setup, like with the music at the beginning, the way that it moved around and was animated. I really feel like they took a lot of that and put it in Sailor Moon in Japan, but um I love the style that Jim and the Holograms. Like you can literally watch that show and think, "Oh, this is totally 80s," So I loved it,
yeah. See,
and that's what we're going for,
I,
is that
I
look.
if I was doing what you were, or what you're doing, there would definitely be a girl in the pink dress and the belt and the whole 9 yards. Because I if
We've got it.
yeah, I would have to put her in.
So I'll send you some photos of our wardrobe. You'll be like, whoa, wow. We've got a little bit of the Misfits in there. We've got Jim in there and some of the um other like band players. Like we've got some like their wardrobe top. We even have like a it's a I'll call it rainbow, but it's just really colorful. It's a zebra print that's like pink, white, green, and orange. The top and then um the leggings with it, and we have like a leather jacket that's going over it, big curly hair, skin tight, belly button showing. So lots of jewelry, lots of lots of things around the wrist, like a lot of like jewelry like around the waist, you know. So going for that look.
Yeah, the back in the 80s, they loved that waist jewelry, that whole
Yes.
belt like jewelry, lots of wristbands, lots of bracelets. Uh,
We are doing like a little bit like I love Slumber Party Massacre 2 and I love the villain in that, the driller killer in that one. So that's what my character is going to be trying to bring out, but we were going to have it really like you saw the wig, but I thought, pretty sure you've heard about Tennessee lately
mm-hmm.
doing the law against drag and everything. I've never done drag, but I absolutely support it and I have a lot of friends who do it. And I thought, in my support for it, I kind of want to do a homage to drag, just with the demon and with the rock and roll look, only because that's just me showing my support to the LGBT community for that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it kind of sucks because I am friends, and I've interviewed Eulogy, horror host out of Tennessee, and they can't be in their character
Mm-mm.
outside of like their studio or a bar. And I'm like,
They also have to have a permit now to do it, to
that's
perform.
garbage.
But then, like, you look at, like, okay, let's talk about that for a second. Like, you go to Twin Peaks, you go to Hooters, and you take your kids there, and that's not adult. Like, it's just it's so pinpointing. And I literally was watching a video the other day. This guy was talking about his area for a good hot minute, and talking about banging this girl and all this, but yet there was like 14-year-olds, there was kids out in the audience. Why is that? We have drag story time to teach people about acceptance. We have drag queens doing fundraisers to help schools have enough funds to protect our kids from firearms. We have we have all this going with the drag community that's trying to give back to the community. It's not, there's no one like their thing like on TV was that, oh, it's to be child abuse for a kid to put money in a drag queen's like underwear. First off, there's no kid at a drag show. You know what I'm saying? There's no
Mm-hmm.
kid at a drag show. You have to be 18. Um, but it's you have the adult drag and then you have like the friendly family friendly drag, and I think that they did a lot of good for our community and that they're still doing a lot of good for the community, so it's like why pinpoint, so that's kind of like where I'm going with the demon in this Scream Dream, just because that's me showing my support to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm also I two of my friends. I haven't seen them in a few years just because time and distance and stuff has. But they used to do drag shows, um, and we'd go there with them. And yes, if you were there at the club, completely different beast than what it is if they were outside doing
Yeah,
anything, and it's
it's
a
just a
trip.
comedy show. I mean,
Yeah,
come
it's
on,
all it is.
Shakespeare came up with it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's when it comes down to it, just what people have the problem is that they find themselves attracted to it and they're like, oh, that's a guy. Oh,
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
They're like, that's hot. Oh, okay.
Sounds like a personal problem. So
What
yeah.
was it? One of my favorite things was if you have a problem, if gay marriage is a problem in your marriage, then one of you is gay.
Yeah, that's honestly true. And like honestly, I am a gay director. Um, when I've ever had like a friend like growing up in Tennessee, because growing up in Tennessee is really different than growing up elsewhere
Yeah,
because we're in the Bible Belt. There's things you do, there's things you don't do, there's things that you talk about and don't talk about. But every time I had like my best friends, any of my best friends, every time they dated someone, they just had such a problem with me. And then like when it was like one on one and my friend wasn't there, they'd hit on you. And I'm like, that's why you have a problem with it. Is because you are, and I'm not saying this with everybody, but like it's not it's unfair, it's you shouldn't try to attack a group of people just because you have feelings a certain way yourself.
yep.
So
And
it's just happens.
well, it's one of the things is that my wife had to point out to me because I was ignorant to a lot of stuff when I was younger, and
Mhm.
because I was like, oh, gay marriage, whatever. I don't, whatever. And she looked at me one day and she goes, what do they want? They're like, it's marriage, between a man and a woman. And she goes, what do they keep putting in there? She goes, in the eyes of God. I was like, yeah. She goes, are you religious? I went, no. She goes, am I religious? I went, no. She goes, so they can claim our marriage doesn't count for nothing because we're not, I'm an atheist and she's a pagan. So, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I was like, so I'm also one of them people who, when you find somebody you fall in love with, that's hard to do.
Yeah,
And to have them love you back is even harder. And I don't think it should matter if who it is. If you guys are all consent, and everybody's like, oh, I'm like, if you're adults and you find somebody you fall in love with, find somebody you fall in love with. If you're, whatever.
I've always wanted to say this. So I get my time to say this. I am religious, but I don't push it on people.
Hmm.
I'm a Christian, but I'm a Christian, not a church going Christian. Big difference.
Yeah.
But I will say this: if you are a Christian and you are against the LGBT, let's look at what your God hung out with in his own Bible. He hung out with the sinners, he hung out with the prostitutes, the homosexuals, he hung out with everybody. Why? He accepted them and he taught them how to grow
Hmm.
in life. But that is, that's from their standpoint. But also, he told us not to judge. So that's one thing.
Yep.
So I don't judge others. But then also, he gives us tests throughout our life. So the test for these people who are religious is, are you failing or are you passing whenever you're attacking the group of people? You should love, you should respect, and have
Hmm.
judgment free. And that is what your God, and that's what you say he's about, but yet you don't practice what you preach. So I love throwing that back in some people's faces.
Oh, believe me, I years ago I worked at a place and I like I said, I'm not religious, but
Yeah.
I'm very much is that I've raised money for people who like lost their leg to cancer, so we helped raise them get a
Mhm.
leg. Um, I've donated to food banks to all this stuff over the years,
Mhm.
and I'm sitting in their break room, and I didn't know this until it came back to me later. I was in a break room reading a book, and I don't even know what I was reading, but it was probably something horror book or something. And a guy I knew, Terry, was in there, and I left, and they were saying, "Oh man, what is he reading? That's just, that's wrong, And I'm like, didn't know it, and he goes, you make fun of Paul, right? And they're like, well, he's this, and they're like, that he does all this stuff, and he starts listing off everything that we were doing at the time, that I still do, and he goes, so he's being a better Christian as an atheist than you are as a Christian.
And it is the truth. And I hope that like, people they realize the difference between that being a Christian and then like the church going Christian that, and
Well,
that's vague. But like, when I say that is there are people who actually are following the religion, and there's people who's not following the religion. They
Yeah,
just say that they're Christian, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. They
So
they want it so they can make themselves seem better and
yeah,
use that as a crutch. And that's kind of where how I ended up the way I am, is because I've seen so many people that were hypocrites being,
yeah,
religious, and then I'm sitting back here going, you know, you've, you know, kicked out your, own kid, because, you didn't like who they were with, or, you treated your neighbor because, or you're, I hate to say it, you're just out and out racist, and you're using the Bible to justify your racism.
yeah,
And you're just like, man, really? I don't see it. And as I tell people, it's like people go, well, you don't dislike people. It's like, oh, I dislike a lot of people, but I dislike them on a personal basis, not because of their.
yeah. I try to like, and some people will probably crucify me for saying this, but when I look at people, I don't see color, I don't see religion, I don't see anything except for that person, and that they should be treated with respect. And that's the way that I've always lived by. And I like to stay blind that way. And some people be like, well, like you're blind to color, but when I say that, I'm just saying like I don't see a difference in people. So that's kind of like what they all have their background of where they came from, but
Mhm.
that doesn't justify anything about who they are. They're still a human being and deserve to be treated right.
Exactly. I am I like I said, you got to learn to know people on a one-on-one basis, and
Yeah.
it's, you know, people go, oh, well, I had somebody go, I was like, man, I was like, I got cousins I can't stand, and I got, and my best friend, I got called racist because of my last name one time, and I was like, one, I was like, my best friend is mixed. One of my other friends that I call my brother, he's black, and I was like, I had other friends that were gay, and everything else. I'm like, I was like, I'm either the worst racist ever, or so. Okay, now I can't remember where I was. Um, oh, okay. So, I was going to ask you now, how do you feel? Do you feel that you're just a filmmaker, or do you feel, that, you're a gay male filmmaker, or do you just not want that you're just a filmmaker?
I'm just a filmmaker. Um, I mean, I just happen to be a gay filmmaker. So I do have a lot of people who are asking me like, why aren't you doing like more, like gay content or, and I think with my other films that I've done, I think that I got really tired of it really fast. Like it was more stereotypical. I was in a film called Truly Madly, which is streaming on Tubi right now, and Freevee. And it was a grindhouse film. That they did hours and hours and hundreds of hours of editing to make it look grindhouse, and I think they did a really good job. And I'm really proud of the role. But I remember feeling like I don't want to be cast like this all the time, And then I got cast in another film that was a gay slasher film, and again, I had that in my stomach. Like I was like, I don't want to be cast as this, but I'm gonna do it, you know? So yeah. It's not that I'm against it. It's just I would rather be able to play other roles, which I have. And I think that that's kind of where like I don't want to be like typecast.
Yeah. Well, because at a certain point, people will just be like, "Oh, he's the gay actor." You could put him
Yeah,
in, yeah, and then you end up being, the best friend. And
yeah, exactly.
unfortunately, um, really, Vince. Shh. So it's one of the ones where you see, and I don't, I do not take this in any way, shape, or form
Mhm.
negatively. It's not meant to. But I've noticed a lot of gay filmmakers that do, um, horror or whatever. They tend to put a lot of strong females.
Mhm.
Um, and
Like that as much.
yeah, and
It's I'll tell you why here in a second.
well, we have the ongoing joke. My wife's had and my wife's endowed well, and we always have the ongoing joke that her gay friends were always like fascinated with her boobs, and and I was like, is that a thing? And then I found out evidently is it a thing? And it kind of is.
I think so. Yeah. My thing with like the strong females is I'm all for strong females.
Yeah.
But what happens is they tend to weaken male characters. And that was something that I'm really big on, like with male portrayal, especially in the indie community. Women get paid more than men. And I know it used to be vice versa back in the day. Like in Hollywood, men got paid more. And I'm not saying that that needs to be a thing. I think everybody should be paid equally, or if they have like a rate, they need to be met.
Mhm.
I think it's good to show a strong female character, but I'm tired of the the women who always live constantly. Like you know how the film's going to end. You know that she's going to make it. Everyone else is going to be dead. What's the point in watching it? So I think it's good sometimes to shock the audience with that. I tried to do that in Deadly Dealings a bit because of that very reason. Um, for me, um, when I was on Savage, which I wanted to show you this, it is available from Sub Rosa, by the way. Has Tamara Glenn on the cover from Terrifier 2 and Halloween 5. Um, but that was something that we talked about. Just for example, it is a rape and revenge film. Savage Vengeance is. It's a remake. It was the unofficial sequel to I Spit on Your Grave. The original was. And it had Camille Keaton in it as well. But we had male rape in the film because so often every I call it R&R, rape and revenge R&R film
Mhm.
is shows a woman being brutalized and beaten and everything, but you never see it from a male perspective. And when you bring it up in filmmaking, which I have with a lot of friends, because there was a script at one time. I know my other friend has a script for um, a rape and revenge type film that includes a man, but honestly, what happens is people will come to you there, and it's not a bad thing. They're being very honest and they're being truthful, and it is the truth. But they're like, oh, like people are going to take it in a laughable way. And that's a sad thing about it is that there's a lot of issues and stuff that could be could be brought to the attention in indie horror filmmaking, such as male violence that happens to men, because I know tons. I know more men who have been sexually assaulted than women, and just me personally, and they never tell anybody because it's looked down upon. Now, I've been open and honest about this on social media because I had to at one point. But over 10 years ago, I was assaulted by a man in the military and I was hospitalized. And people treated me like absolute dirt. I'm talking like in real life. People
Mhm.
are treating me bad. People were making fun of it on social media. And I was like, it was just because I was a man. But I even had somebody who's like, well, it only happens to women. And I'm like, oh, no, it doesn't, sir. you know?
Yeah.
So um, I think that it's important to, you want a strong female character, but you want a strong cast at
Yeah.
the end of the day. You don't want the same characters from every other movie. You want to create them, you want to make them strong, you want them to have valuable purpose in the story, not just to be the geeky kid or like I take Scream for example, the ditzy friend that Rose McGowan kind of played. Then you have like the movie store guy who
Mhm.
was all about movies and really geeky. And I feel like Wes Craven was kind of like playing with that, you know, saying like, okay, I'm going to put it in here, but they have valuable purpose in the film. When you take the valuable purpose, like you take the whole Scream, like the original Scream story out of it, and you just have those characters, it's very stereotypical and they're not really strong
Mhm.
anymore without the story.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you get that in a lot of films that you have those stereotypes and it's always the same stereotype. You have the overly sexualized jock who is just being a dick to everyone, and it's like, why? Like you could have made him a great guy. That way, if he does die, people
Yeah.
care when he dies. And it's more impactful, more emotional. So when people say, like, you go for the strong female, I'm like, no, we go for the strong cast. We go for the strong cast all the way around. Everybody needs to have that strong focal point. That way, whenever something happens, it's emotional, it hits harder, or it's unexpected and more shock.
Yep. Hush. Go lay down. Go lay down. No. Seriously, dog? No. I'm not letting you outside again. Go. Go lay down. Seriously, dog. You're being horrible. Why are you being so horrible tonight?
My dogs do that to me. They're probably picking up the vibes.
Yeah. They're
I
they're
have
the,
none left.
the little one is jealous of the big one because the big one's getting attention. And then if I pay attention to the little one, then the big one will get jealous. Yes. No. Go lay down. Seriously. Oh my god, dog. Okay. No. 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 Go. You're not going outside. You were just outside. All
Mine
you're doing
drives
is
me
barking.
crazy. Yeah.
It's horrible tonight. This whole day's been weird. This since I got up this morning, it's been weird. And that's just one of them things. You talk about making films and dealing with cast and stuff like that and going on certain things that you want to change the whole, you know, curve, like you
Mhm.
always have the final girl or whatever.
Yeah.
I wrote a script and the whole joke of the whole thing at the very end is that you think that the two guys are going to die and the girl's going to be the one that lives. And instead,
Mhm.
it's the two best friends, the two guys who survive everything, and the girl gets killed at the end. And it's like
Yeah.
just these two guys that live through hell who are just best friends, and at the end they're just like, "Oh, okay, that happened." And then it's something that you don't see much because there is that formula that works for everything that's just kind of the true and that everybody just goes with, and I don't think that everybody should go with it.
Mhm. And one of the things I always point out to people is like, let's look at the Friday the 13th series, like the whole franchise as a whole.
Hmm.
When a woman dies, how do they die? It's usually really elaborate. It's really sexualized sometimes. When a
Hmm.
guy dies, he just dies, like it's quick, it's easy, it's gone, you
Hmm.
know? But it needs to change. Like it needs to have both sexes need to be portrayed that way. But and that's kind of like, why I've done some of the films that I've done. And I think I'm really proud of even the extreme films that I've done, um, which they will be available very, very soon. I know. Um, but they it had it had strong death scenes in them that was like, okay, I was like, oh, let me use my acting abilities in this because I love to die on screen. I give it my all. I'll lose my voice for 2 weeks screaming my head off. But and I did that with Savage Vengeance. Funny story was I was supposed to go film that for a few days and then go and it was like a 2 week process and then stay up in Louisville and finish Truly Madly. And by the time I got on set of Truly Madly, I had completely lost my voice from Savage Vengeance because I had to scream for 4 hours.
Oh,
And I think that the sexuality part for men is important because so much often is women put on this pedestal that they have to be sexy, they have to be beautiful, they show all the nudity, they do all the hard work in the film. And what I did, with Truly Madly, Savage Vengeance, a little bit in Reunion, not much, but I showed the vulnerable side of men, and I did full nudity in some of those films. And I it's, is it supposed to be sexy? And one of them, yes, it's supposed to be like really sexualized. The other one is supposed to be really violent. And the other one, it was just implied. So I think by adding that in there, it's changing up a little bit. And I think that even like Hollywood is trying to do that a little bit more as well. But I think that I did it because A, nobody else would, and B, I think that it's just important to set those boundaries that it should be men and women who have to show, not just women.
yeah. It, I do think it's kind of unfair in horror because the guys don't survive, and
Never.
never, and you know, I just think that's dumb because it's if you put people in a situation, you're gonna yeah there's always cabin, at least Cabin in the Woods. You had the stoner that everybody thought was going to get killed off is one of the survivors. He
Yeah.
but it's not often, and it's I guess it goes way back, but you get those movies like Alien that was filmed, and that's why all of them are basically like gender neutral names because there was no male female when they scripted the movie. That's why it was just
Yeah.
yeah. So, uh, although I'm legitimately I've scripted a movie I want to do. I still want to do it. It's a rape revenge film called Snow Angels that I
Mhm.
wanted to do, and then I realized how big of a pain in the ass it is to shoot in the snow. And um, I did one called "A Good Woman Is Hard." A hard woman is good to find, and it's the silent guy that's in like a the it's a woman. It's the silent former military. You don't even know it. She doesn't talk through the entire movie. I just want a woman with a scar. You see like military stuff in the house, and she just ends up protecting these people. And that's you never. It could have been anybody, and it ends up being a woman at the end. And then I did my ones where the two guys are the last ones left alive.
But
Ah,
hey, like, I feel like that's a good thing, and I feel like anyone who has the passion to write that definitely has to make that and go with it. Jump out. I tell everybody, jump off the cliff and just do it.
well,
So whatever you've not done, do it.
my only problem with going back to Snow Angels was when I wrote that, I was in a horrible place, like in my mind and with my marriage and everything else like that. And now I'm not in that mindset anymore. So it's really been hard to go back to that one to do any rewrites on it because I'm just not in that place anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You're
understand. When I did Deadly Dealings, do you remember the therapy scene?
mm-hmm. Yeah,
All they originally everyone told a story, and they went around the room, and each individual story was something that happened to me in my life.
that's crazy. That's really putting yourself
So
out there.
the ones that happen, except for Ronnie Jonas, because that was just that.
There you are. I still got you back, I think. Oh,
Yeah, you're moving. You're
yep, there
talking.
we go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, you're really putting yourself out there with that, doing that, you know.
Mhm. It felt like when I did it, it was really, I felt really exposed. the cast was crying on set, of course, and I'm just like, no, 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 yeah, oh, don't cry, please don't cry, like, please don't. Like, I'm trying to make the movie here,
Yeah,
but like, um, I just thought it was important. Haiti, story that was really important.
yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
it's good for it's cathartic to get that stuff out there sometimes to be able to like
yeah.
yeah. It's now w- I gotta ask and because I'm legitimately I talked to somebody else on another interview and we've talked about dreams and stuff with Scream Dreams and then with Deadly Dealings. Um, do you ever take anything from your dreams and put it in film? Try to get it in there?
Yes, that was 100% Deadly Dealings. 100%.
Now, so you've had the horrifying dreams where people just come at you with chainsaws in your bedroom? I didn't want to give nothing away.
You're cutting out just a little bit.
Oh yeah, we keep getting choppy here. It's I don't know. Hopefully this will
It's
not be a
okay.
problem next week. Because like I said, I was always one of the people I don't sleep right at all. Um, and
Hmm.
so I don't dream or I don't remember it much. But I did a interview with a guy goes by the name Dr. Zombo, and he does me and him getting this really deep philosophical stuff about dreams and parallel dimensions and stuff like that. And I because of what he did, he taught me some stuff, and I've been able to like kind of interact with my dreams a lot better since then.
Hmm.
And I had a very vivid dream going into a video store and finding a VHS tape of a movie, and that movie does not exist in the real world. So I have begun to write a script for this movie that I found in my dreams. And
No, I think that that's absolutely wonderful.
it's it's so funny because now I'm talking to an actress friend of mine. I'm telling her, I'm like, so I have this in my head. So I want to do this because it's on the back cover of a videotape that doesn't exist. So uh, it's one of them chaotic things, and
I
your
had
brain's always going.
I had a very lucid dream the other night that was Batman, and I never watched the Batmans. Like I've watched some Batman, like growing up, I watched the animated version, but it was about the Joker and about how he was passing on his legacy to someone else, and he like had created like this place where they were at, but like they were if they didn't fit the criteria of being the Joker, they would just disappear. They would just like obliterate and just disappear from what they were in. And at the end, it was kind of like sexual, but it was not sexual at the time. Like it made like a lot of sense in my head. But like the Joker, he was always everybody's always talked about how he was gay or he has this thing for Batman, but instead like he takes a liking to the guy who survives it, and with a kiss he literally handed over he turned him into the Joker, and that was how he is able to like pass on the legacy of the Joker to him. So it was just a really weird dream. Like I don't know why I was dreaming that. I have no idea. But it's been really lucid dreaming since I've been working a lot and having no sleep during the week.
So it's got to be hard. You're making movies. You're still working as a barista and all that fun stuff. All still going 100 miles an hour.
No, actually I quit being a barista about six years ago.
No.
I moved to I was working for a security company for about 5 years, and then I quit that, and now I am working at FedEx, which It's very physical, very, very physical. And I also work at Krispy Kreme, which that was probably the most amazing job I've ever had working at Krispy Kreme. It's just really relaxing. It's like management's not like over you all the time. It's really like you work at your own leisure. And I don't work with customers. I just work with uh, I just I just decorate donuts, which is I've been having a lot of dreams about donuts.
I couldn't do it. I love Krispy
So you
Kreme
work at your
donuts.
leisure.
I'd be 900 pounds walking out of there because I love Krispy Kreme donuts.
Well, it is really hard some days. Like I see one, I'm just like, oh, I gotta have it. But the good thing is that I'm on phentermine for weight loss. I'll always do it before every single roll that I take. But then also, you get to eat like unlimited donuts, whatever you want. And you get like a free dozen like every week. Um, so yeah.
Oh,
I love Krispy Kreme, and it's just a fun environment.
see, that's what I like. When you find a job that you enjoy, even if it's a dumb little, like I don't take it wrong. Even if it's a little job that, it's great. So, I mean, I'm the comic book guy.
Yeah.
That's my job, and I sell video games and comic books and magic cards to people. Um, but no, I had to a couple years back. Oh, I went from a really demanding job where I was going 100 miles an hour. I worked in a printing company, and there'd be nights when it'd be 115 degrees in the middle of the night, sweat, losing 5 to 10 pounds a night. And then I went to doing that to working at my shop. So I sort of started gaining weight. And I'm like, man. And then I decided when he was little, I couldn't keep up with him because I'd gained so much weight. And I was like, I'm trying to run after a kid and I can't because I'm worn out and I'm tired. So I started going to the gym because my
Yeah.
wife wanted me to go to the gym, wanted to get me to go to the gym with her. And then I just started going by myself. And then I lost a ton of
Mm.
weight and
FedEx does that to me.
went from
Yeah.
250 down to 175. So, but
Hey, that's amazing. Congratulations.
I don't eat hardly any junk food. I don't eat after 10 o'clock at night. I go to the gym multiple times a week, and I kill myself. But I still do not take supplements and all that stuff because my buddies are like,
When
"Man, you can get jacked." I'm like, "No, I don't want to get jacked."
I used to be really, really, really fit and really into working out. I used to have a trainer that I worked out with 3 times a day, and I would do 15 miles a day by myself. And I did cross country back in high school, and I had a lot of pressure on me back in the day. People around me, and they didn't really realize that they were doing this, but I had a lot of pressure to be ultra super thin. So I was 150 pounds. So when before I got into acting, um, I was into modeling, which I absolutely hate. And I threw the biggest opportunity of my life away. And there's been several opportunities come up since, but I got into an agency that was huge. I'm talking huge, and at the time they had nobody that was blonde haired and blue eyed in their agency. That was in their local agency. So they choose a model and they go with them all the way for a year. They call it model of the year,
Mhm.
and you go and you record music in a studio for album to see if you're going to be the next, um, like the next star in music. You have to do commercials. You have to go to Korea. You have to go to New York. You have to go to Los Angeles. They give you flats to live in. You have a very strict diet. You have a dietitian. They were really, really huge on that. And it just wasn't for me. And I was a wild child back then. I was all over the place, all over the place, all over the states. I was really carefree. And I was just on the road a lot.
Hmm.
So I decided just to quit, and I gave it up, but I think it was for the best.
Well, what were you in your early 20s?
Yeah, I was around 20 years old when that was happening.
Yeah, that's hard to give anybody
So
that
now I'm
much
32, about to be 33.
give that much freedom. I know how I was in my early 20s. Man, if you'd have given
Cool.
me out a house, I'd be dead now. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I was that wild child that was at a party every single night, that was at the club every single night, that was out doing God knows what, driving on top of cars, car surfing down mountains, and getting into trouble and doing a lot of like risque stuff. And um, I just was really, really, really wild and carefree. But luckily, I grew out of that. That's, I think everyone has to go through that to get it out of their system.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, if you don't, and I've noticed this is a lot of people when they'll get older, they'll regress horribly, and it's out of the blue, man. I'll be 50 years old, man. All of a sudden, they're dating an 18-year-old, got a brand new car that they can't
yeah,
afford, spending money they don't have, trying to party and everything else like that. So
yeah,
stop.
yeah.
Seriously. Sorry.
Mhm.
You're being a turd. Everybody needs a bunch of kids that don't listen to them. See, it was bad because it took. I have four kids, and it took to the third one before I really calmed down. Because I
Oh, really?
oh man, I drank and partied and
Oh, yeah. I can remember some of the wildest parties that we were drinking absinthe and just getting hammered. And I always made fun of people who mixed their drinks, or had mixed drinks, because I believe that you should drink straight liquor and then you should chase it with a beer if you need a chaser. So,
I'm not I'm not gonna lie. I drank. One is that you know my whole drink was vodka, and I loved my Bloody Marys. I know it's a mixed drink, but
uh,
I just drink them like water.
no
And
judge.
then I discovered Jaeger, and then I wasn't allowed to drink Jaeger because we have the ongoing joke that Jaeger is what Dr. Jekyll drank to turn into Mr. Hyde
Oh yeah.
because it was a
I
light
would
switch.
I would drink like 2 pints of Jaeger, and I'd mix it with wild turkey. And I would drink about 2 or 3 bottles of that a night. But I think it came to a point where there I had literally went through my house and I had 6 trash bags of empty liquor bottles. And my parents were coming over, and I was like, okay, I really have an issue here. So the partying was just absolutely balls to the wall crazy. It was insane. Like we turned an entire 6-story college dorm, with they all had patios. We turned the entire dorm into a party. And we took turns calling 911 to come pick up the people who passed out in the yard. Um, so and it would last all night long. I'm talking like you would have drugs, alcohol, everything you think of laying right in front of you. But it was just that was a wild, very, very wild. Like people who don't know me anymore but used to know me still refuse to accept the change.
Oh
Where
yeah.
I'm like, I sit at home, I have my dogs, watch TV, drink coffee. I haven't had a sip of alcohol in I don't know when. Um, but I don't drink anymore. I don't do anything. I'm like that. I just like staying at home. I haven't been out. I haven't been on vacation in years. I haven't done anything in years. I just do solid work on film. And a lot of people don't realize that, or want to understand it. they think like if I run into like a high school buddy or something, they just think automatically like, oh, like are you still partying this? And I'm like, no, I don't do that.
Um,
So
I still got people. I drank almost 9 years ago was the last time I had a drink, and I
that's good.
still have people like that I used to drink with, and they're like, well, "What do you do now?" I'm like,
There's so much more to do.
"Yeah,
Like, and I think, like there's a lot of people in the community, like the indie horror community that I see that just drink so much or party a lot. And it's not a bad thing, but it does catch up with you. And like for me, I developed NASH, which is a liver disease, and I'm in steatosis stage, where my liver is damaged really bad. So it causes pancreatitis nonstop. I had pancreatitis flare up for 4 years without stopping.
ooh,
And that was just insane, until they figured out what it was. So I can't eat certain foods. I can't drink certain drinks, which I got to be a little bit better about it. But I can't have like any seasons, any salt, any butter, any milk, any yogurt, any chocolate, any sugar, any breads, any starches. I'm supposed to eat like lean vegetables and fish only for the rest of my life.
ooh,
So the consequences of that is, so it can be pretty hefty for somebody because if you don't do that, then you could die. Um, but I think, I channeled my creativity into filmmaking. And I think, that was the big change for me because kind of going back to the Deadly Dealings therapy scene that Douglas did the monologue for, that was kind of a really rough patch in my life. I was working in Haiti and I was doing, I'm not going to say relief work. I was a medical person that worked down there, and I had the option to go down there and stay and live. You made no money, but the people provided you with housing and clothes and food. And I worked in orphanages with a lot of uh, people who were just orphaned because it was I was down there during the time of the earthquake.
mm-hmm,
Uh, back I want to say it was like what, like 12 years ago now.
yeah,
Um, so it was, like you go do something like that and you come back to the States, like you're seeing dead bodies everywhere, you're pulling people out of rubble, you're seeing people so in shock that they just sit down and they don't move until they die.
wow,
That was what I was exposed to at a young age, when I was down there. And the thing of it was is that it affected me really strongly. While I was down there, there was 17 men, which by the way, Haiti is a really odd country to begin with. Lots of voodoo, but a lot of those people have never seen a white person.
no,
They never seen like it's just they live in an area that they don't get a lot of visitors, and they just never seen it. So you had to cut your hair off because they try to rip your hair out. They wanted to grab at your skin, feel your skin, and feel your hair. But the trafficking is horrible. Like you was watching it on the side of the road. And what happened was one of the buildings that fell in, we were had shovels and um, we were shoveling the rock from the building to create a platform because that was what everybody was doing, was taking the rubble and trying to push it aside so they could have a platform to put tents up.
mm-hmm,
So what was happening was, there was 17 men who were trying to abduct me into sex slavery and human trafficking, and I was able to get away. One of the ladies that was working with us overheard what they were doing, and they kept coming up to me trying to get me to go around this corner where they were trying to abduct me, and I was like, no, like I don't feel really comfortable. Like one guy, his throat was sliced from ear to ear, and it was just a big scar, and he was having trouble talking to me anyway, which I think it's called like half French and half Quail, what they speak, so it was really hard to understand. um, but that was one thing. And then I got into a huge riot. I was on a bus full of equipment, and we had a driver who pulled out a cracker, and the cracker was just something he was just eating out of his pocket. Well, you pull that out in like a third world country, you're making a gigantic mistake. Even though he was from there, he made a huge mistake. So they, over 100 people thought that we had food. And what happened um, was like a horror film. Those 100 people were busting through the windows of the bus. They had pitchforks, they had machetes, they had machine guns, and they were after me. They wanted to tear me apart trying to get to the food. So I was having to go to every window and push everyone out by hand. And they had machetes in there just waving them at me. And there was one guy, he had no arms. He had, his legs and arms were cut off, and he had gangrene. So he shoved a wood pole in both arms, and he shoved a wood pole in both legs. And he was walking, it looked like almost like a giraffe. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
he was walking on them, and he was throwing himself up against the door. And I just remember like it was so eaten up with gangrene that no blood was anywhere. Like he was just ate up with it. And it was a very scary, horrific time in my life to be in Haiti. And dealing that's just a couple occurrences. Like we're talking like I was down there and every day something was happening multiple times a day. um, Buildings had fell and thousands of people were stuck in the rubble and it killed them. The one instance that I finally broke was the child that's in Deadly Dealings that we talk about. Um, he We went to this area near the ocean, and they just said, just go in and do what you can do. Like these are people who are basically terminal, who are going to die. They had them separated. Um, so we went down there, and I'm going to get to something about the American Red Cross here in a second. Don't let me forget. But we went down there, and I had, I was awful. It was horrific. I was absolutely scarred. I was trying every ounce to hold back tears because they all said, if you cry, you will not stop. Do not cry. They would have military get up in your face. You do not cry when you're down here. And I was just like, okay, I'm trying, holding back the tears. So this child, his whole family got killed in the earthquake. They got what happened was when they were on the mountain, when it shook the mountain, all the houses came down with the people. So they were getting trampled by rock, other people, and everything. And what was happening was this little kid, I want to say he was like probably 4 years old. He got hit and it crushed all his vital organs. So he was still alive. His and I found him laying on a piece of cardboard and he was with nobody. And they just said he all his organs are exploded. Like he's not going to make it. But I was really surprised that nobody had went over there and sat with him. So they all left, and I went over there and I just put him in my lap and I held him for a while. And um, I was just like screaming out. I was so angry at the situation. But he passed away in my arms, and I just left him. Had to leave him there on the cardboard. But as soon as I turned around, a little girl that was watching fell over dead. Just watching. So then it was like a double whammy. So I get back to the truck, and when you get in the truck and you drive off, you have all these little kids who are following you with empty water bottles wanting water. And then they have machetes. So they're trying to cut you, they're trying to get in the truck, and you're just driving off. And you feel so bad because the dust is hitting them in the face, but you can't stop because it's your life on the
Mm-hmm.
line. But I just absolutely screamed at the top of my lungs and just lost it. And that was one of the biggest meltdowns I think I've ever had in my entire life. And they were right. I didn't stop crying for the entire day until I fell asleep. And then there was a huge earthquake that night that split our house in half. And you could hear it through the villages way on down. like miles away. You could just hear people screaming all of a sudden, and the animals were going crazy. And then when the as the earthquake got closer and closer and closer, and then it came to you, like it just knocked us down. It was so strong, and it cut the building in half. People were people died in it, but it was absolutely catastrophic.
Hmm.
Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people were dead, and they
Jeez.
were just lying on the side of the road.
Wow.
So I needed a way to be able to channel creativity because when I got back to the States, I had PTSD. I had PTSD from that. So from there, I tried modeling. Modeling didn't work, and then I got into like a shitty relationship. So that ended really horribly. Then I got attacked, which I told you about, and
Mhm.
then I was like, okay, something. I need to do something creative and something fun for myself. So I started doing film, and
Yeah.
that's how I got into the film industry because when I met Dale Dickey at the Starbucks, she was she kind of led me where I needed to go, and I was like, let me try this. And so far, I've channeled it all. I've gotten rid of the PTSD. I don't even have it anymore. Um, but I was able to like I can talk about everything as if and it feels like it didn't happen, but it did.
And before I forget, Dale Dickey from My Name Is Earl as the
Mhm.
was it the daytime prostitute night or the date nighttime whatever. I,
Oh, she's amazing. She's in some really good stuff, like
what was
Hollywood budgets.
yeah, I watched her in a movie the other day, and I can't remember what the hell I watched. But she's
Was
like,
she with Jennifer Lawrence?
do what?
She was in a movie with Jennifer Lawrence called Winter's Bone.
No, I've seen that a long time ago, but no, I just saw one recently where she was a cop. Hmm.
Oh, interesting. I know she does like the Sorted Live series, which is hilarious. And she was in, I think, the Marvel films, a few of the Marvel films as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Let's see. Trying to remember what movie she was in. Dale Dickey. Oh yeah, she was in Hell or
Nothing,
High Water. The Pledge. Yeah, she
nothing
was in Iron
beats.
Man 3.
Yeah,
With the right one. Oh, the right one in the series. Oh, yeah, I just watched her in a League of Their Own. Just watched that
yeah.
one. And
Nothing beats her performance or the series called Claws. If you haven't seen it, it's on Hulu. I'm totally inspired um, by Claws. Hands down, the most hilarious show I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, I seen was on FX, wasn't it?
It was on TNT,
TNT.
and then they moved it to Hulu. And it's about women who launder money for the Dixie Mafia through their nail salon. And it's just so funny. Like it's totally my life. Like it's like the Golden Girls um of today, just laundering money and like moving all these drugs around for mafia. It's just hilarious.
That's funny.
Hilarious. Yeah. But,
Now, if you ever had a chance, would you put Dale in any of your movies?
oh God, yes. I would love to work with Dale. I wish I could tell her. I haven't seen her in years, but I wish I could tell her everything that she did for me. Because she really got me going and really got me in the industry because I went to Gage Talent Agency, which she told me to go to, and they have an acting program. I think it was like $1,200 if you had no experience in acting whatsoever, so you didn't have to go to a school. You actually had an acting coach, and it was for 2 years every week. And you could well, it's for the program was for a year, and you could keep going for a year longer, um, just to refresh yourself. But they taught you everything. I'm talking. They went over contracts. They went over safe sets, how to do sex scenes, and how they need to be shot. They go over improv. They go over different methods. They go again over contracts, go through the contracts to find print. They teach you how to do proper auditions, which that is something massive to me. I hate when someone sends me a amateur audition tape. That is something that it makes me livid because it used
Yeah.
to be more professional. Even if it's not exactly the way it needs to be done, it needs to be more professional than what I've seen come out on some people's auditions. And they teach you everything, and you have the chance to sign with them or not sign. And she told me that she did independent acting. She's not signed with a company, and look at what she's doing. I mean, she's in Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Like, so I decided to do independent acting, but I only wanted to do horror. That was the genre that I really liked. So I met Donald Farmer, and I met well, first I met I got into a film that was part of the Slumber Party Massacre. So it's called the Massacre franchise because Slumber Party Massacre and Sorority House Massacre, Cheerleader Massacre, Hard to Die, and all of them are a part of the same franchise, but they're some of them are unrelated. It's just called the Massacre Collection. So there was supposed to be a new film. I know Jim Wynorski and another director was working on it, and I got in the film, and I was going to be able to work with Melissa Moore. I know Gail Thackeray, which is some people know her as Robin Harris or Gail Harris from Sorority House Massacre 2. She was the lead.
Hmm.
And I forgot what the other girl was. I think it was Debbie Dutch. I'm not sure. Um, but all of them were going to be in it, and it was like my dream role because I was going to get to work with them and have scenes with them. But it got canceled. So from there, I got onto Truly Madly, and Truly Madly was my first role, but it was also a lead role. And I remember the first thing that we shot was a nude scene. So being on set for the very first time and then having to take your clothes off was just, it was a little nerve wracking. I'm not gonna lie. But I did that film and I love that film, and um, I'm really proud of it. Again, it's on Tubi, but you know, watch it if you want to. But then I got one of the films I was never allowed to rent as a kid was Cannibal Hookers. That was in my store, video store, and my parents was always like, every time they walk by, just because of the title, You have Christian parents, and they're like, and they didn't watch horror. Only, well, me and my dad did, but my mother, no. But I got a message one day from Donald Farmer, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing a film. It's a remake of Cannibal Hookers. Would you want to be in it?" And I was like, "Yes." So we did Cannibal Hookers, and I networked a lot on that film and helped out a lot on back sets and stuff like that when we were there. And that's where I met like Joe Casterline, Ronnie George, Jessa Flux, Cassia Rose, and Casper. Um, Melted Hair, I believe is her name. Um, but I met a lot of people and started networking. And then next thing you know, like how many movies am I in with Jessa and Donald and Ronnie? Because Ronnie was in that film too. And then I was in several films with Joe Casterline and Ronnie George. So from there, I got cast into Savage Vengeance, and Savage was it was fun, but it was interesting being fully nude outside, and then like having to go and and do the scene that I did, which is it's one of my favorite scenes I've ever done. But I worked with Kat Meredith, and she's very talented, y'all. Anybody who watches this needs to look her up. Super, super talented girl. Um, but we stayed up all night in our rooms, and we practiced and talked and went over everything over and over again, and then had all these ideas. And Jake Zelch, the director, really let us bring those ideas to screen. So it was just really fun, and it was a great experience. And he cooked for us, which was amazing. And from there, let's see, I got in Shark Exorcist 2, Bigfoot Exorcist, which I have to say, that movie when it comes out is hilarious. It's probably going to be like the best Donald Farmer film that anyone has ever seen. I absolutely loved Bigfoot Exorcist. It's so funny. And from there, after doing those, I did a film called Reunion from Hell, which I'm not too proud of, but I did line produce the hell out of it. and I didn't get any credit really for what I did, or paid, or they didn't really have permission to use my image. But aside from all that, um, I was really proud of the final product and working with Kathy Podwell, um, from Night of the Demons and Dallas. She's amazing. And then from there, I got into the extreme films, like the gore films, and Jesse Seitz and Marcus Cook. Yeah, Cook. We're doing, I believe, I'm not sure what role they did each on that. I just know that it was their project. I didn't meet them prior to it because what they did was they had an anthology and it was called Fucked, Fukt. And what we did was, or what they did, they had something about people were saying that women don't like extreme horror, which is completely untrue. Women love extreme horror. So they took all female directors, and all the female directors directed a segment for this anthology, and it is gory as hell. And I worked with Dixie Gares on that, which she's Ethel in Crazy Fat Ethel. If anyone knows Criminally Insane or Crazy Fat Ethel, she was in the remake, which is out and available right now. And I've worked with Dixie a lot, and she helped me. Her and Steve are my production managers. Steve McGill, which is my fiance, and they worked as production managers on Deadly Dealings. But so Dixie, I had no idea what I was in store for when I got on Fucked. But I have to say, I worked with Derek Warely, um, and he did the special effects, and that's where I met him, and I was just so like, wow, because I mean, we were in special effects, I think, for like 4.5 hours, and I was drinking iced coffee and couldn't move, and I was like, oops, I shouldn't have drank that, but it was that Fucked. When I watched that movie, it makes me want to take a shower when I watch our segment. I don't have the full film yet, but I was able to like watch our segment, and I was just like, whoa, whoa, like Dixie Gares, whew, she got some stuff up her sleeve for the horror community. Um, wow, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let her reap the benefit of that when it comes out because I don't want to get nothing away on that. But then we did Secrets of the Witch, which is another extreme film that she did, and she's been winning a lot of awards through that. And luckily, I was like the lead guy in the film, and I was lead guy in Fucked as well. So I'm really thankful for letting Dixie letting me be a part of that, and I'm very 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 proud of those. Even though they're shorts, like one's a segment for anthology, one is a short. People are going to go berserk crazy when they see what she is capable of. Um, so aside from that, I did a documentary for Hugh Gallagher from the Gore trilogy, Gorotica, Gorgasm, Gore Horror, and he has another film called Dead Silence out. But I worked on that with him, and then I did the found footage series, which was really fun. We filmed it here in the house on my phone, which is really, really, really interesting. It was unlike anything I've ever really done before. And then I was a part of a trauma film called Curse of the Weird Ear that's coming out very, very soon. And Ben Johnson directed that, and he's working with me. He's going to be our cinematographer on Scream Dream. And I wrote the script of Scream Dream, and then I give it to him, and then he rewrites it and changes the wording, and then we go over it again. So we're really collaborating really well, and I've enjoyed working with Ben a lot on Scream Dream.
Cool.
But Curse of the Weird Ear, wow, that set was huge. Like I really felt like that was probably the biggest movie I've ever been a part of. There was like 40 people on set.
Wow.
Um, and it was, I know he had to go to the town hall to get like permission to film out in town. They had like Nadia Watt, the wrestler and adult star who had a lead role in it as well. She was hilarious, and I just absolutely loved her in it. But they had Babette. Do you know who Babette is?
Uh, think
Drag
so.
queen. If you saw Babette, you'd be like, oh, okay, because
Probably.
yeah, and very talented, very funny. It's going to blow people away when they see Curse the Weird Deer. It's just so in your face adult comedy that's just hilarious. But yeah, so that's just a few of what I've done, and I really like the extreme films a lot. So I wanted to work with Jessie Sites myself, so I got her to do special effects for Scream Dream. And working with her has been a blast. I think that I just love the way that she talks too. Like she's just so calm and collected and together. And that's why I went with her for special effects was I just really wanted to work with her after like the whole fucked project and um just seeing Jacob's wife on Shutter. She did special effects on that with Marcus. And I just was like, oh, I just want to try it. And I really want to work with her. And I think that that's all about, branching out and meeting different people and letting them into your circle and working with them and collaborating with them. It's been really fun this go around because there's a lot of new fresh people that I'm working with.
Cool. Now I got to ask you, because I always put this at the end, toward the end. What advice do you have for people wanting to get into the business?
Jump off the cliff. That's honestly like you'll find yourself at a standstill where it's like, can I do this? Can I really do this? Can I really make a movie? You know, and you feel it in your gut. It's you got butterflies in your stomach. You're like, can I do this? Yes. And if you need help with budget or anything, come to me. I got you covered where I can get you the budget. I can help you. I have a full circle of friends, um, people who specialize in Indiegogo, how to get those budgets, people who do special effects, people who do acting. I line produce. I can help with anything, but you're gonna like you get to that edge, and I tell people to just jump and don't care what the cost is, don't care what it is that you feel like is holding you back, whether it be bills or whatever. Let it go and just make it, do it, go out and do it. And that's basically what I had to do, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's that's really important. And I think that's why most people don't make their dream happen is they're at that cliff and they're not jumping. And I say jump because you'll free fall and it's going to be a grand time all the way down.
Hey,
So
I'm hoping I got time. I'm hoping to either shoot a test reel to be able to mock up some sort of trailer to be able to get money for a project I want to work on that I've got an idea for.
come to me.
I will come to
I
you.
will put you in connections with some of the right people that will seriously help you.
Cool. It's it's something I've been kicking around the idea for years, and it's something I'm like, man, I think I can make that, and I can probably do it very
You could
cheaply.
do it on a huge budget. Don't say small because you can go for big budget and definitely get it.
Well, a few years ago, I wrote a script and I pitched it to a couple people, and I had a couple people who were interested, and I had some other people, and they're like, well, what's your budget? I'm like, I don't know. Well, what I'm like, I don't know any of this. All I know is that I can write and I'm really good at putting together scenes. Dialogue, I'm not great with because what I write down and then what I hear in my head is two vastly different things.
I just tell people when it comes to dialogue back and forth, I write a little bit, I stop, and I envision the two people having the conversation, and I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and that's the way and then I turn it on where I can visualize them saying this while I'm writing, and I don't even realize I'm writing. I'm just hearing it in my head, and I'm just writing it down.
Yeah, see, I ran into the issue where I wrote a scene with a father and a daughter, and I only have I only have sons, so for
Yeah,
me it's that weird, I'm like, okay, so I wrote it as if I was talking to just one of my kids, except for instead of Bud, I say honey or something like that, and people are like, oh, that's exactly. I was like, no, that's exactly what I say to my kids. So that's what I wrote, even though it's I would be, well, I wrote it as a father talking to a daughter instead of a father talking to sons. So I don't know.
yeah.
I kind of run into that problem. That and I get in my own head too, so which is the worst thing I can ever do in a million years. So
I'm gonna tell you one of the best things to do when writing and being creative. I go to Intimate Treasures, which is this adult store over here in Knoxville, and they have the strongest CBD gummies. And it's 100 milligram per gummy. And I do them, and it literally turns that off. My where I get in my head, it turns that off, and I get so absolutely creative, and it just
yeah.
doesn't stop. There you go. There you go. Get them gummies going. Get you I use Note on my phone first, and then I like copy and paste it to Word, and then I go through and I like do the corrections and stuff. But like seriously, like do that, find a movie that's inspirational, put it on, watch it, do the gummy, and then go to your notepad and just start writing and let it flow out of you. And even if you don't think it's perfect, um, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I'm
So
not gonna lie, I'm slowly getting a nice fan base through my shows
that's
and
good.
stuff like that. And I'm thinking maybe I should parlay that into something else too. Because
Yeah,
doing what I currently do, I make no money off of it and I don't really care because it's more for the love of it than it is for the uh, money aspect of it. I have a
yeah,
job, I have a store, that's where I make my money, so I'm not worried about that. But it's one of the ones where I get in my own head and I start like, oh, and then all of my friends, like, I got a friend who's an actress, and I kick her ideas to her all the time. She's like, "That's a great idea." I'm like, "I want to be part of that." I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay." So I got that person. So
I always tell people, as Brittany said, you better work, bitch. You know that song, Work Bitch. But I mean, honestly, think about it. Like, you have this girl who went from a hometown Louisiana Southern girl to one of being the biggest icons in the world. And it's true, like you gotta work, you gotta work, you gotta work, and you gotta put it in there, and you can't stop, and you gotta let your dream just happen. It's when you get in your head that your dream stops. And that's why I say turn that off and work, bitch. Get it going.
I've said this a million times over the years. I'm a heavy metal guy. I'm a rock guy. But I tell you what, who Britney Spears, between her and whoever puts her stuff together, are geniuses.
Oh my God, yes.
That the hooks, the music, it gets you, and you're like, you can be sitting there, Melissa, and you're like, next,
Yeah.
you're like, and I'm
And it's
like,
like the dancing. I used to dance, and I knew every dance move that you could even think of. Like especially I remember like for my workout, I would do like 3 hours of I'm a Slave for You, like the whole dance back in the day. But like no, like I feel like she nailed her dreams. But it's sad that they put her in a conservatorship and she's out now, thank God. But what they did to her, I think, really damaged her. But I think the way that she danced and the way that she just let loose, that was what separated her from any other artist. Like I can watch other artists dance and get it on screen and I don't see a they're passionate, but when I see Britney, I see a burning passion. When she dances, she burns. And that was what always separated Britney from other artists to me. I see that in Lady Gaga too. Like when she dances, she burns. I just feel like I hate that she's gone a little bit more main, like, like the whole Hollywood aspect. But like I get it. Like you're moving up and you're moving up in society and you're making that name for yourself. So I get it, but I totally miss that edgy, like the Fame album, like Born This Way album, being edgy and not giving a fuck. That's basically what I'm doing with Scream Dream. Like you saw like the harnesses and everything. We had a lot of people very angry or very judgmental over Deadly Dealings because there was no sex or nudity in it. So, and a lot of distribution companies had an issue with that. So, what I did with Screen Dream was I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this. You want to see something like that I can come up with? I was trying to do something emotional for people to connect with who have ever experienced loss. And I really didn't want sex or nudity in that. But if you want sex and nudity and blood, I'll give it to you. So we're going all out, crazy, like naked pillow fights, nudity, like feathers going everywhere. We're building sets for the gore. We're gonna have to have like a bed up in the air to put the chainsaw through it and just chainsaw through a mold of a girl. And we're just doing so much with it. I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, I'm not gonna hold back. You want it, I'm gonna give it to you. So that's
Definitely.
where I'm
Yeah,
at.
yeah. That's just funny when people are like, "Ah, you need more boobs and nudity and sex and stuff." And it's like, okay,
I'll give it to you, but my God, you're gonna get both. You're gonna get male and female.
you get it all or you get nothing."
Yeah, if you're getting it all or nothing. So that's
Uh,
that's a little bit what's in store, but that's kind of what I'm doing with that project is I'm at that point where I'm tired of hearing people, like you gotta have thick skin, and I have thick skin, but it just gets annoying when it's like you have people who want certain stuff from your vision, and it's like if it's not for you, it's not for you. I'm sorry.
no,
But I'll make something and it'll be my vision and I'm going to do it the way I want it
hell yeah,
if I'm going to do it,
yeah, definitely.
which distribution companies have a huge issue with that as well. So, you can't make everyone happy, just make yourself happy.
Oh yeah, that's the most important person is make yourself happy first, and then everybody else can fall in line behind you.
Yeah.
So, except for me, I make the kid happy first, and then everybody else. So, oh man. All right. So before we get ready to go, where can people find you at online?
You can go to Facebook. Just look up Adam Freeman. I have two alternate accounts. Just you'll see how many friends I have on one. Just look me up. I do have a website. It's on Webidar, which I have on my um, Facebook as well. I'm on Instagram, the Scream King 90. So you can find me there. And yeah, and just know that like if anybody out there is wanting to ever like start a film or get into filmmaking, you can always come to me with questions as well.
And where can people find your movies?
Okay, so some of them are on Freevee and Tubi. Some of them are just getting released right now. Like Savage Vengeance just got released like the other day. I think it was like March 10th or something like that. I don't know. Something like that. It got released. But you can get that one there. The Extreme films will be from Putrid Productions. They're going to be putting out Fucked, which that can't stream, unfortunately. Um, but Truly Madly is streaming. I'm sure Savage will be streaming soon. Once Shark Exorcist 2 comes out completely, it'll be streaming. Curse of the Weird Deer will probably be on Trauma now, once it comes out, because it is a full-blown trauma film. So yeah, they'll be out on streaming stuff, and they'll be available for like DVD and Blu-ray.
Mhm.
Most of what I've done, um, you'll be able to buy them like off major retailers as
Okay.
well once they're fully released.
And your Indiegogos.
Indiegogo. So right now I have Scream Dream up. Scream Dream is in demand. We are about to break 19. We need 13,000 more dollars for special effects. It's all practical effects, hand built sets. So we are, I want to say, close to 19,000 right now. Um, but we do need 13 grand. And I say that we need it for special effects because we truly do. The special effects in this is it's just continuous throughout. There's body changing, demonic possession, chainsawing, demon prosthetics, guts got to be made for tons and tons of people. There's a lot of guts going to be thrown around, a lot of blood, and some of the stuff that we have to do, like we have to cast mold one of the girls, and you have to like sew in the hair, you've got to put the guts inside, you've got to paint the body, put the eyeballs in, we got to make a skeleton with eyes and veins and guts on the inside and make it ooey and gooey. And there's just so much that we're doing with it. So it's you think, well, because like originally like our budget for that was like 15 grand just for special effects. We've got a little bit of that. So the 13 grand, people are like, what are you gonna do with 13 grand? Like we have a lot of special effects for Scream Dream. We want it to be picked up by like the best. So that's what we're doing, is making sure that these effects are top notch. What we are also doing that a lot of people don't know is that the effects, this Scream Dream remake is supposed to be an extreme film, like the Extreme Underground. We're making it cinematic and we're making it a remake, but we're also wanting to make it extremely, extremely inappropriately gory. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate what you're doing. As
Okay.
I've said this to every independent horror maker, every independent filmmaker I've talked to, um, you know, I believe that independent horror and well, just independent films, period, um, are labors of love. They've got a lot of passion put in them, and people give them shit. They're like, "Oh, look at the budget. The budget put." You can see a movie with a $200 million budget where everybody
Mhm.
is a zombie and has no passion in that movie because all they're doing it is for a paycheck. But
Yeah.
when you have somebody doing it for the love of doing the movies, you can tell that they're having fun. You can tell
Oh
they're
yeah.
enjoying what they're doing. And I believe that's where independent filmmaking is right now. You know, do you make a
I
living
think
off of it? I'm hoping, you know.
it's on the rise. It's on the rise for sure.
Yeah,
And do I make a living off of it? As of right now, no, but I would like to.
yeah,
And I think that once, Deadly Dealings was to show people the production value. I knew that it was not going to be for everyone going into it, but I wanted to make it. And I don't know if you stayed tuned for the very end, like all the way at the end credits. Um, we had a memorial
yeah,
that we
yeah. I
put
watched
up.
all that. Yeah,
Okay. So because everybody lost somebody, and it was about love, loss, and resurrection, I wanted to make it personal. So I just wanted, for that film, I wanted everyone to see the production value. So going into Scream Dream, um, we're going to now put that in effect, like the production value with what everybody's wanting. So
cool, 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 cool. And like I said, you got a lot of good perks left on the Scream Dreams Indiegogo. You guys got a lot of
and
cool stuff.
if you want to go to the page without the link, just go to Google and put in Scream Dream Indiegogo, and it pops right up. It's like the very first thing that pops up.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for dealing with all the crap that I've had to deal with on my end here with the damn
Oh,
dogs and then the internet crashing and then Zoom crashing and
I would love to show you my dog.
my fat dog. I can't pick her up because she's fat.
Would you like to see my dog?
All right, yeah, let's see your puppy.
Okay, let me get it real fast.
Hold on a second. Ah,
Come here, Ash. Come here, buddy. This is not the Podango. Oh, it's so cute, the corgi.
that's my Lulu. Oh, hold on. There you go, baby. Oh, there you go. Oh,
Good.
oh, she looks like my old dog. She
And
had a
oh
we had
my
a,
god,
we had a puppy that looked just like that almost.
here's
My
the
wife.
uh,
Okay.
oh,
Oh,
the
there's
Podango.
courage.
They could be cousins.
Yeah. Oh, I love you too. Okay.
So yeah, now you met the pups.
I love my puppies.
Oh yeah.
Don't I? Yes, I do.
We're gonna have a giant kettle session in like 2 seconds.
Yep.
But it's been great and
Yep.
thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being on, and we'll get you back on sometime if you want to talk about anything else and
Oh yeah.
talk about all kinds of stuff and all that stuff and stuff. Okay, go lay down, Courage. All right. Well, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Awesome. I'll see you later. Thank you again.